right. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you here today. Thanks for coming. I want to welcome everyone to our 9th annual King County Council panel discussion in honor of Women's History Month. Yes. My name is Claudia Balducci. I'm the King County Council member for District 6. And this tradition of having a panel for Women's History Month was started by former King County Council member and State Senator Jeannie Cole Wells, who's here with us today. Welcome, Jeannie. Today, the women of the King County Council, Council members Mosqueda, Council member Perry, and myself are proud to pick up the torch and carry on this wonderful tradition. We're very glad you could be here with us in the Chinook building. We're also being recorded by King County TV, and this will be broadcast later, so thank you, KCTV, for being here today. Appreciate you. I will say they have a hard stop, so we're going to try to keep this thing on schedule so that they can get on to their next important piece of business. Women's History Month gives us an opportunity to reflect on how far we've come on the journey to full equality, to celebrate all the incredible things that women have done and achieved, and to recommit to overcoming discrimination and barriers that still hold us back. This year, our panel theme is Empowering Women Who Power the Economy, because throughout history, our economy has benefited from the labor, innovations, and contributions of women, and we need to make sure that women are reaping the benefits of our efforts. And when we talk about women, I want to make sure we're including our trans and non-binary siblings who face many of the same barriers as cis women, while also confronting additional barriers and truly virulent discrimination that threatens not only their rights, but their very existence. Thanks to those who came before us in the fight for equality, we have more opportunities to pursue education, job training, and careers. We're graduating from college at higher rates, and we've attained higher levels of economic independence than our mothers and grandmothers. For example, it's only been within my lifetime, within several of our lifetimes, probably here, that women were legally entitled to have a credit card in their own name. But even with all the progress, we still live in a world where we have cracked but not fully shattered the glass ceiling. Famously, this country has never had a woman president. This county has never had a woman county executive. And all the challenges are magnified for women of color. Our county has never had a single Black woman council member. And we only just elected our first Latina council member in 2023. Of course, that's Councilmember Mosqueda. And we now read reports not only of the glass ceiling, but of what's being called a broken rung. On the ladder to success, according to a recent McKinsey study, women face their biggest hurdle when they try to get promoted from their entry-level jobs. The gender pay gap remains persistent, stubbornly the same, with little progress in the last 2 decades. This is also worse for women of color. Women-dominated professions continue to be underpaid and undervalued. The cost of childcare is crushing and limits how women can fully participate in the economy. So we can and should celebrate how far we've come, but not back down from the reality of how far we have to go. Those of us here today at this lunch, we have a responsibility to the next generations to continue the fight for economic equality. To do that effectively, we need to support each other. We need to learn from each other, and we need to celebrate each other. And that's what we're here to do today. So first, a few thanks. I just need to thank some of the folks who helped put on this event. Of course, my colleagues, Councilmember Perry and Councilmember Mosqueda, and all of our staff who worked so hard. Day Shugren, where are you, Day? Hi, Day, who is with the Legislative Branch Equity and Social Justice Office. She co-sponsored and did a lot of work to help make this happen. Our Chief of Staff at the County Council, Stephanie Sirkovich, who I don't see yet. And I just need to name and give a special thanks to my own staff, Ashley Song, Madeline Cavazos, and especially my Chief of Staff, Jeannie McNabb, who put many hours of work into helping to make this happen. So, quick overview. We'll next hear from Councilmember Perry. Then we'll hear from our wonderful panel of guests. Welcome, thank you so much for being here, facilitated by Councilmember Mosqueda. And finally, I'm very excited, we're going to unveil a special recognition, if I don't destroy it first, for the leader and mentor who inspired this event, our colleague, former Councilmember Cole Wells. So, let's do it. Councilmember Perry, if you would, take it away.
Thank you. And before I start, unfortunately, our guest here has a unavoidable situation and cannot join us today. So we'll just make sure we spread the love out right there. So as said, hello, I'm Sarah Perry, serving as King County Council for District 3, which is on the east side. It's East Lake, Sammamish to the pass, and I-90 to Highway 2. So Issaquah, Sammamish, Redmond, a part of Redmond. I share that with Councilmember Balducci. Woodinville, Duval, Carnation, Snoqualmie, North Bend, both passes, Fall City and Preston. So it's 1,000 square miles, and we take it seriously. It's a lot. It's a lot of time. I look forward to recognizing and celebrating the impact that women make on our lives through this event each year. King County women do incredible things through their smarts, determination, steadfastness, creativity, and sometimes just sheer courage. It's important to bring visibility to all of the amazing things that women are doing to improve our lives every single day. I want to express deep thank you again to my colleagues Claudia Balducci and her team for leading us on the event, and to thank King County Legislative Branch Equity and Social Justice team for their work in making it possible, and to thank the amazing Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda. It's been really wonderful to have the three of us together this year. We know historically there's great disparity between the leadership positions and salaries of women, and particularly those in BIPOC and LGBTQ communities, disparities between them and white straight men in King County. Indeed, this has not been an easy journey. We've worked on laws and ordinances surrounding equal opportunity and anti-discrimination, and we've come a very long way, but there still is significant work to be done to ensure that everyone is paid the same for the same arena of work, and that leadership doors are as open for women as they are for men. It's still mind-blowing to me that I was 10 years old when I was allowed to get a checking account. 10 years old, and I know all of those women that were allowed to do that themselves without anybody else, and we gained some portion of our sovereignty then. We've lost a little bit, but we have a lot of work to do to continue that. That is part of why our panel today is so exciting to me. We get to hear from leaders who are paving the way in their own fields and in their own communities. I also want to recognize that we have two more of our fabulous council members with us today, Jorge Barron, Councilmember Jorge Barron, and Councilmember Gramay Zahalai, which we appreciate. Appreciate the support. So without further ado, I am honored to be able to introduce our four wonderful panelists, two of whom I've had the opportunity to meet before, and I was really appreciated, Sharmila, getting to know you by learning about through your introduction. So I'm excited to get to know you a little bit more as well. So we get to hear from them. They're going to talk to us about the powerful role women play in powering our economies. Each panelist brings a unique framework and perspective. They're driving change as leaders in their own sectors and will share what they do to empower women in the workforce and beyond together. So, our first powerful woman powering economies is Ilona Lohrey. Ilona serves as president and CEO at Greater Seattle Business Association, known as GSBA, Washington's LGBTQ and Allied Chamber of Commerce, which was founded in 1981 and represents over 1,300 businesses, making it the largest allied chamber in North America. That's impressive. Ilona's work focuses on the prosperity of small LGBTQ and minority-owned businesses in Washington state through business development, technical assistance, and supplier diversity. She created the Ready for Business Recovery Grant, as well as the Business Academy to directly support entrepreneurs with a focus on LGBTQ, BIPOC, and women-owned businesses. She also oversees GSBA's Scholarship and Education Fund that has invested over $6.5 million in the education advancement of our future leaders. Ilona identifies as a queer lesbian immigrant, and outside of work, she dedicates her advocacy and passion to the LGBTQ+ community to advance equity across the most vulnerable populations, including serving as a board member at Cocoon House. Her passion is not only for social justice, but also for business development, with a prior career as a CEO of a $26 million corporation in Germany. She also currently serves as a commissioner on the City of Seattle's Labor Standards Advisory Commission, and her motto is Empowered Women, Empower Women. Join me in welcoming Ilona. Sharmila Swenson is our next powerful woman powering economies. Sharmila serves as Vice President of Public Affairs and Social Impact for Symetra Life Insurance Company, a national provider of employee benefits, annuities, and life insurance. As Vice President, Sharmila oversees public affairs at the local, state, and federal level, community relations, corporate giving, employee community engagement, and corporate social responsibility. Sharmila is deeply committed to supporting access and inclusion through education and economic opportunities for underserved populations through her work in the community. In 2021, she was appointed to the National Association of College Trustees Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. In addition, she is a gubernatorial appointee to the Board of Trustees for Highline College. She also serves on the executive boards of Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Treehouse, personal favorite, an education nonprofit serving foster youth in Washington State. Please join me in welcoming Sharmila. Our final powerful woman powering economies is Lalita Uppala. Lalita is the Executive Director of Indian American Community Services, which is the longest serving Indian American community-based organization in the Pacific Northwest. She works tirelessly to connect and empower the Asian Indian community through programs, services, and advocacy for people from all ages and stages while incorporating and respecting cultural traditions and values. Lalita is a beloved leader in the Indian American communities and beyond and is passionate about helping women feel empowered at all levels. She helps women restart or recharge their careers through mentoring, networking, and workshops, and works to help create active, supportive local community engagement for women to help sustain their success. She's always looking for opportunities to help engage women in leadership roles or in work and volunteer capacities, fostering their courage to step in spheres previously unknown. I call her a lot for references. She's an avid advocate for support and services for women, a strong mentor to many throughout the region, and a champion for equity and justice. She serves on Washington State's Commission for Asian Pacific American Affairs, CAPPA, advising the Washington State Governor on issues and challenges for the ANHPI community. In addition, Lalita is the co-chair for the East King County Asia Pacific Islander Coalition, as well as a trustee for King County Library System, and previously served on the King County Immigrant Refugee Commission. Please join me in welcoming Lalita. And at this point, we'll begin with Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda conducting the interviews. Thank you.
I'm going to come here with you all. We're nothing but organizers, so I'm going to move the chair back here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, thank you all very much for being here. We have a packed house, so can we give it up one more time for the all-women organizers who brought this panel together, who made today possible, and our incredible staff who had nothing but at least 12 meetings. So thank you to our incredible team and to the council members who made this day possible and who have welcomed me as part of the King County Council team as well. Thank you very much, Councilmember Perry and Councilmember Balducci and your incredible teams as well. I am excited to be part of this conversation and to be part of this esteemed panel. We have an opportunity to take our time back and celebrate Women's History Month, which shouldn't just be once a month, but we will take this time to highlight the incredible accomplishments of women across our county, across the state, country, and globe. We have a short window here to hear about the incredible work that's been done. And I think that as you see the panelists up here, please remember that these are representatives of the lived experience of women across this county and across this country and globe who have taken their own time to be here with us today to talk about the accomplishments that they have made and the work that's still yet to come. As you heard, we have Ilona, who's the president and CEO of Greater Business Association, Sharmila, who is the vice president of Public Affairs and Social Impact, and Lalita, who is the executive director and community program director at Indian American Community Services. We don't have with us, as you heard, Shawnee Wheeler, who many of you might know from the labor movement. She's currently the Deputy Executive Director, first Black woman who is sitting in the Deputy Executive Director position at Martin Luther King County Labor Council. Previously, yes! Previously, she was with IBEW, the International, well, it says brotherhood, but sisterhood of electrical workers, and a longtime advocate within the labor movement as well. And this panel will talk about what we've accomplished in the workplace, but also how we center our families and our communities and how we need to take care of ourselves. She is doing that for her family right now, and we appreciate that this is a great way of also empowering people to say no when it's important to take care of themselves and their family. So we'll think about her while she's up here, but we are very excited to hear about your stories. This is an incredible opportunity for us to talk about accomplishments of women across this county, the work that women have done on the front lines in economic justice fights, in labor movement, in the environment and climate justice advocacy world, in fighting for LGBTQ rights, and especially the incredible efforts of folks who have been fighting for trans rights across our country and standing up against transphobia and misogyny. This is also an opportunity for us to talk about how we unite to fight against the ongoing attacks on our fundamental human rights, reproductive rights, and basic human rights as women, and how women are constantly on the front line fighting against wars of aggression and occupation. Women have been on the front line of this pandemic here locally and across the country, keeping our economy and communities running, keeping our communities safe and cared for, keeping our kiddos and our elders healthy, making sure that our parents and teachers have what they need to make sure that they can care for kiddos, and especially making sure that our community is healthy, as women are most likely to be working in the healthcare delivery workforce, and it's most likely to be women of color in the healthcare delivery workforce and in long-term care. Women's History Month is about looking at trends and breaking barriers. It's about looking at the contributions that have been made, especially those contributions that have been undervalued, especially for folks who are doing double duty as working parents as well. Women's History Month is often overlooked. It's an opportunity, though, for us to take this time back and take every moment to celebrate not just our history, but what we have in front of us to fight for. We look forward to hearing more about the ways in which you all have helped to fight against the barriers that we've faced, especially looking forward at how we are creating a more equitable economy in the wake of the pandemic. We talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, but women are more likely to be on the front lines during pandemic, putting their health and their family's health on the line during the last 4 years. And we need to make sure that women are front of the line when it comes to creating a more equitable economy. So with that in mind, I would love to start at the end and come this way if we can. But we recognize that the work that we do is never really actually about ourselves. Often the work that women do is about our community, it's about our family, it's about improving the general population health. I'd love for you to answer this from a systemic-wide perspective, informed by your lived experience, but what have you found has been helpful in giving additional confidence to the work that you do, finding ways to celebrate your resiliency? What has been helpful in the course of your career in building that confidence and resiliency to have accomplished all that you've accomplished so far?
Yes, that's a big question. First and foremost, I have to contribute my resiliency and my confidence to my mother. I had a very strong mother, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and she launched a business back in the 70s in a very male-dominated industry in facilities management, which I believe she was the first female CEO in that area. So I grew up in that way with a very strong mother and an extreme support system. Many times I've heard from her, be more diplomatic. As a child. I would get in trouble, my father would ground me, and she said, if you would just be a little more diplomatic, instead of a week, you could shorten it to maybe a day or two. And for me, it always was about fairness, and I didn't understand the concept of diplomacy versus fairness. So that stuck with me for a while in my life. But definitely some of the barriers we face as women in general is just coming up in that social construct of a binary world. And I, for myself, feel that my uniqueness as being a woman, being queer, being an immigrant, not having English as a first language, all of these things make me unique, and I don't see them as barriers. I see them as superpowers. And I feel that we should all claim our superpowers because that's what makes us unique, and this is what propels us forward. With that said, it's also important to have a strong support system, right? Because fighting for rights or fighting for advancement can be lonely, so you have to have a healthy support system, whether that is friends, family, chosen family, mentors. That's really important, and I've been very lucky to have had several amazing mentors in my life. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the description of the skills that we have as superpowers. I definitely think that is something we all need to acknowledge for ourselves. And I want to acknowledge something that Claudia was saying about the women that have come before us. I was at a diversity, equity, and inclusion conference for our industry, in the life insurance industry, a couple weeks ago. And one of the speakers was talking about coming up as a woman in a professional setting in the industry in the late 70s and 80s. And she talked about how one of the suggestions for exuding confidence and kind of making her place known was to speak fast before somebody cut you off and wear large, expensive-looking, chunky jewelry. And I just had this moment of like, wow, we have made progress. We have made progress. But I also just, have to give extreme gratitude for those generations of women that came before me, because I was never told to wear chunky jewelry. And I do speak fast, but I was not told that I needed to do that in order to not be cut off, although that does happen sometimes still. But I want to just, first of all, just give gratitude, because there are generations of women that came before us, and they allow for this conversation to be happening in a different way today than what they experienced during their lifetimes in the workforce. So first of all, gratitude. And I think that also leads, into the fact that I've been helped along the way by a lot of people. I've had the tremendous benefit of having really amazing bosses throughout my career, both men and women, that helped champion me and helped me grow and served as mentors and coaches. Similarly, my family has made a huge impact in my life, and always, those people that have been my support network have always allowed me to try new things, to fail fast, and to grow and continue to develop personally. I think for me, when I think about confidence, I also think about kind of the mindset and the attitude I try to bring to things is really a growth mindset, right? I know that I have certain skills that I bring to the table. I feel very secure in those skills. They are my superpowers. But I also expect to go into every room and learn a lot and have a lot to learn and accept that that is the case, and I embrace that. And I think that mindset has been very helpful to me, because I think when you think about confidence, ego is a part of confidence as well, right? And ego is a thing that's extremely fragile. Ego is a thing that can be damaged, that other people really impact. But when you have a growth mindset and you're really thinking about growth as the center of your confidence, right? Knowing your skills and knowing your value, but also thinking about growth, you kind of take it from ego and you transfer it to authenticity. And nobody can take away your authenticity. Nobody can take away the things that you bring, the value that you bring, and your genuine interest in learning and growing. So for me, confidence really is situated around that in my life, and it's been a transition to that opinion and that approach in my life. And I think that it's really impacted resilience as well, because it's changed the way it's helped me grow and gain resiliency, but it's also changed what I have to be resilient to when I come into the room with that attitude.
Thank you.
Well, Councilmember Mosqueda, I come from a woman who was a healer, a physician, who drove a moped in the 1970s in India, my mother, from home to work, and who would always be chased by the cows in our neighborhood, always. and very often fell off a moped and got back on it again. And when I see Councilmember Balducci in that bike, those visions come to me again. And that woman she was also the director of employee state insurance hospitals and would go into areas in our state where nobody dared to go. But I also am the woman who, in distress, watched her try to be a perfect woman. So there is no perfection in life. And that's one thing I learned from watching my mother, that you don't have to be perfect. You're a work in progress. And so the resilience and confidence I bring to myself or to the team that is here with me today is that you don't have to be perfect in the work you do. You just need to wish to do that work and bring your enthusiasm and your authenticity to that work. And you need to surround yourself with those pillars that you can lean in on, the women who can make you giggle, who can make you laugh, but who can also call you out on your errors, not your shortcomings, but your errors that you're willing to work on. So for me, it's really, life is about authenticity. And it's about celebrating the small wins, dreaming the big dreams, but celebrating the small wins, because I cherish those. Those small wins to me are, if I can accomplish a full meal at my community center to 250 people and work with the chef in the team, because that's a win for me. The bigger dream is there to dream on. And so it's small steps, and definitely it's gratitude to all the women behind. I just am one symbolic person here, but there are so many women who work with me every day and who do the real work out there and take on the patriarchy and the classism, the casteism, the isms that we encounter with. As immigrants, we cross thousands of oceans and come here for the American dream, but we bring with us the baggage of our, the baggage of our culture, but also the celebrations of our culture, and how do you work through that?
Thank you so much for all of those stories. So we started with the personal accomplishments, the personal growth, the resiliency there, and we're going to take this to now the workplace. What do we want to see within the workplace? Just a few statistics. I'm going to do a little bit of the yin and the yang. First, let me start with where we need to go. Women earn 16% less than men on average. This is according to Forbes magazine this month in 2024. Women earn just 84 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Women of color are amongst the lowest paid workers in rural areas, with rural Black and Hispanic women making just 56 cents for every dollar that rural white non-Hispanic men make. Latinas are compensated just 55% of what a non-Hispanic white man made, and Black women are paid just 64% of what a non-Hispanic white man is making. Native American women are typically paid only 59 cents for every dollar that is made by a white non-Hispanic man. And a 20-year-old woman just starting out her career full-time, year-round work, she does every day throughout a course of a 40-year career, she stands to lose $407,000 throughout her career lifeline compared to her male counterpart. At the same time, the Center for Creative Leadership notes having more women in the workplace actually makes our organization a better workplace for people of all genders. And that's just not a feeling. We care about feelings, but that's just not a sentiment that we have. In fact, it's proven time and time again that the Fortune 500 companies with the highest representation of women on boards financially outperform companies with the lowest representation of women on boards, that gender-diverse teams have higher sales and profits compared to male-dominated teams, and a recent Gallup study found that gender-diverse business units have a higher average revenue than less diverse business units. Results are showing from study after study that having higher percentages of women in the workplace predicted more job satisfaction, more organizational dedication, more meaningful work, and less burnout. Those are the statistics about women in the workplace. So knowing what we bring to the economy, and frankly knowing that it is near impossible to have single family income earners at this point, we know the value of the work that we bring. We know the value on a personal level that you just articulated, but what are some workplace policies, norms, practices that you would like to see lifted up, or that you can point to as great examples to reduce barriers and break through some of these workplace challenges that you have had to overcome? What are policies that you would want every workplace to deploy if you had a magic wand? And we'll start with you.
Well, I would say pay equity as a very baseline, and I have been fortunate. It's interesting because I've worked in a number of pretty historically male-dominated industries. So I was in politics and government for a number of years. I worked in the labor movement, and then energy, and now in financial services. And I have fortunately been with organizations and working for individuals that I think have been striving to lift up others, women, and everybody else, quite frankly, a diversity of people. But, having at a very basic level, a focus on this and intentionality around this. Pay equity is extremely important. Healthcare is another one that is extremely important, and being able to provide healthcare for more people, especially women. I mean, this is the fundamental need for women right now, right? And in order to be successful, and in order to, for somebody who is finding themselves in generational poverty, when they think about working their way out of that, right, they have to be able to graduate from high school at a very bare minimum. Putting off having children until after the age of 21 is extremely important. And then being able to work full-time is the third thing that's kind of one of these major determinants. And so if we don't have policies in place that support, especially young people, in understanding that at an early age, then that cycle of poverty just continues. And so if we're not, as corporate organizations, leaning in to support those things as well, that's hugely problematic. When I came to work at Symetra and was working on revamping our community engagement program, so much of what we were focused on was actually trying to figure out, okay, what are the lanes that we're going to focus in specifically, because we want to have a higher impact and not just kind of pancake things that we're working on in the community, but we want to also lean forward and advocate for those organizations in the nonprofit space that we're partnering with. So we care about our business interests, and our business interests, as you mentioned, are tenfold better when we are actually selling to a diversity of customers. We have to do that in our industry in order to survive and thrive. But it's also about thinking about the partners that we have in the community and showing up for them. So if we're your partner in the community, we want to go advocate for you. We want to go to the city council. We want to go to the state. We want to take your issue to the federal level and help you advocate in that space. So I think it's the internal policies that you might have from the HR perspective. I think it's also the external engagement that you have as a company supporting the rest of your community, because we are all a part of that community.
Absolutely. Great.
So I'll talk about the women in small businesses and our daily wage workers, and how can we lift and reduce barriers for them to get more access to work-study programs, to vocational training opportunities. How can we do that and improve digital literacy? Really have access to digital literacy, affordable childcare, wherever you go, to have an opportunity to actually have that space, that safe space where you can drop off your child and you can go to work. But increasing the number of work-study programs and in our community colleges, which are the lowest barrier to education, particularly for women for who English is the second language. It is extremely important to have certification programs there, vocational programs there. Women need to be able to have access to behavioral health certification programs. Women who are home health aides or certified nursing aides need to be able to climb that path up to becoming registered nurses. How do you do those? How do you get them access to that? Because how do you get a beauty salon worker to get a certified license to be able to operate her own salon and become a small business entrepreneur when every beauty salon in this city in the greater Seattle area requires you to study 5 days a week or 7 days of the week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. How can they put food on the table and have rent? We have struggled with that, particularly with our daily wage workers who would like to become entrepreneurs, who cannot have access to a vocational training program that can lift them up out of their current state. So I would like to say it's about those opportunities. It's about bringing those to easily accessible community colleges. It is about offering opportunities for financial aid. It's about seeing how do you increase the access to financial aid opportunities for women for whom English is the second language, and particularly for our BIPOC community and the Black, Indigenous, Latina of our BIPOC community.
Absolutely.
Well, I feel we all share these points together. Absolutely. Equity pay is a must, 100%, but also pay transparency. So I challenge, especially our 500 corporations to make that available and to self-regulate. Access to childcare is essential. That allows women to pursue the work they want to get into, but not just access to childcare. I believe there should be a provision of childcare that is qualitative childcare and also subsidized for low-income families. Education was brought up. I can only second that as well. Access to education, maybe providing financial support for women who want to go into STEM or the trades industries, really important, because I feel there is very much still a lack of female representation in male-dominated industries. I mean, male-dominated alone already says it, right? And if we have a lack of representation, that means we have a lack of role models in those industries as well, and mentors, and that is so important for us to see ourselves represented in various spaces, industries, to allow us to grow and learn. And this is more of a legislative thing, but autonomy over our bodies is just so important.
Absolutely. Well, all of you have started to speak to the last question that we'll get to in just a minute about the big picture policy ideas. We're big thinkers up here, so we have already started to tease out some of those big policy, macro, systemic, societal changes that are needed. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you one of the toughest questions that I can't answer well, and it's how do we ground ourselves? I think a lot about some of the women in this room. We've already talked about Councilmember Cole Wells, who I knew as a senator. We know that we have our executive, or I should say deputy executive, Shannon Braddock in the room, and it's so great to see you. We have Sarah Raneveld here representing the Women's Commission. There's so many women in here, in addition to the panel, who have always been stepping up and saying yes. But I'm thinking about the collective way in which we all need to, of course, care for ourselves first so that we can then care for others. It's very challenging sometimes to think about that. So could you share a little bit, and you mentioned this about your mother, so we'll start with you first. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to have self-care, given the pressures to say yes, and also the pressures that we have to care for our families? We know that more than half of the women say that their mental health is sometimes suffering because they have so many pressures on them. And we also know that 76% of American women say that they spend up to 10 hours a day caring for their family in addition to the career that they have. So can you talk a little bit about the way in which you balance some of these things when it can be difficult to have all of these demands on us at the same time that you're pushing the envelope, breaking glass ceilings, and making these incredible strides and accomplishments?
So I'm a storyteller, and I cry when I tell stories, and I always tell people it's okay. It's not a sign of weakness to cry, because it's a sign of strength, actually, and that's self-care. When you cry, you let your emotions, really settle down. And so my team and I cry all the time. We love to have our healing sessions through that. So it's about creating those circles of ambassadors and champions around you. Who are those individuals that you create around, that you can lean in on? Where are those memories that you have? My mother's struggles and her life is something that I treasure, but I also lean in on that because I learned a lot from watching my mother. But I also have surrounded myself with some amazing individuals across communities, not just my own community. Day is an amazing woman that I reach out to all the time, and I'm so grateful for her. So it's about who you reach out to and how you create that circle of self-care, but it's also what you do during those moments of extreme distress. For me, I cook. And I'm a woman who cries, and I'm a woman who cooks. And I'm very proud of that because I feed the world with my cooking, and I heal them with my cooking. So I'm not going to make any assumptions that as a woman you need to cook and you need to step out and only work. There is no such definition. You have to find what brings you to the world in a way that you can take care of yourself and you can create those circles. The team that I have here, the Kunjan, the Tulika, the Akhil, my warrior, these are the people who will take this on from me when I can't do this myself. And when I need to step away, I need to have those leadership circles built in. The champions, the advocates, the ambassadors who have the trust of our community. They actually are the true leaders in our communities. They are the people that we all lean in on to hear from. So to me, it's just that.
Well, I want to say no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
You know, as women sometimes, I think instinctively we want to help, we want to support, and it's okay to say no. It's okay to know one's limits and say no. I'm not doing this today. No, I cannot. It's perfectly fine because that's reclaiming your boundaries as well. And knowing what these boundaries are, knowing what these limitations are, when you feel yourself getting to a certain point to know, okay, I got to step out of it and take care of myself. Having a support system is really important. Having the person that you can vent to when you had a really bad day and you just want to get it all out, right? Because sometimes that makes us feel better. And for me, it's also music. Just listening to music takes me into different memories. It calms the mind. It inspires my mind and allows me to just kind of step out for a moment. Sometimes even just going for a walk around the block, getting some fresh air. I mean, it's those little things that really help and add up. But probably my strongest is the being able to say no. It's sometimes hard, but it's very, very necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, I would double down on, kind of getting out of the yes to everything attitude in life. You know, I think when we were growing up, it was kind of keeping up with the Joneses. Now it's FOMO, right? But like getting out of that fear of missing out type of mentality is so freeing. It really is freeing because, you know that when you're doing all the things that you think you should be doing or that other people are doing and you are envious of or whatever that is, you're taking time away from the things that are actually important to you, that actually matter to you, the people that are important to you in life. And, I think for me, that has become really real as I've gotten a little older and had some different experiences in life and experienced, challenges with my parents aging and their health and challenges over children's challenges in health and life. And, we don't have a lot of time here, right? So like we got to do what makes us shine and what we love in that time. So I really love saying no and saying it kindly, but saying no and skipping the FOMO. I also think that, having an amazing circle of support is so incredibly important. And it can be 50 people, it can be one person. It really doesn't matter how many the number is, but having those people that you can count on is extremely important. I've come from a very tight-knit family myself. I think that something that continually keeps me grounded is really thinking about my parents' experience as immigrants coming here to this country and what my mom accomplished as a single woman in the 60s. She was an RN. She immigrated to Canada on her own, and how amazing that was. And I don't always think about that when I look at my mom, who's now in her 80s. But when I stop and think about it, it's tremendous. And it really keeps me grounded because I think about all the things that she gave up and that my dad gave up in order for us to have this life here. I would also just say I agree 100% on the crying. And my son, when he was about 4 years old, I was going through a really, really difficult time with the family health situation. And he came over to me and put his hand on my leg, and he said, "Mom, have you cried yet lately, or is that still something you need to do?"
Oh.
And it was like there was no judgment. It was just wanting to know if I had that release that day. And I thought that was such a beautiful comment from a 4-year-old who has no filters in the world, right, and just sees things very purely. The last thing I would just say is I think that just recognizing our impact on other people is extremely grounding. And I thought it was really amazing at the Oscars. I don't know if anybody watched the Oscars, but when Billie Eilish got up and thanked her teachers, her high school music teachers, she basically thanked her teachers, and she thanked her teacher, Mrs. T, who Billie she said, "I don't think you liked me very much, but you did your job well." And it was such an incredible moment. And I think as leaders, we have to stop and think about that. And just as individuals, we have to stop and think about that, because you never know what the impact you're going to have on somebody is. And you are having impact on people every single day. And I thought that was such an amazing moment of clarity to say, like, wow, even though she thought she wasn't liked by this teacher, she stopped to celebrate the impact that she had on her. And so it can be heavy, or it can be just a really joyous thing to think about when you think about the people that you're impacting in your life in small and big ways. And maybe you all be, shouted out from an Oscar stage one day, or maybe it's just your child that grows up and talks about you on the stage here, which like we have all done with our family.
Well, speaking of crying, I'm holding it back here, but thank you for that. I think you all have spoken about the support system, and you articulated by saying create circuits of ambassadors and champions. And I'm excited about our circles broadening out by the experiences that you've shared here today. So thank you so much. I have one more question, and this is going to be our big go-home question. We already started to talk about systemic policy changes that are needed. We're in a place that public policy is made. And many of the issues and the inequities that we see playing out right now in our economy and in our community have been created because of public policy decisions. Public policy makers making active decisions about who has access and who doesn't. The council members spoke about who had access to bank accounts in the beginning. Those are policy decisions that were made. Where people could live, policy decisions that were made. Who can have access to certain careers, policy decisions made. Let's make some policy decisions today and use this as a springboard for future. So we're going to think about what public policy solutions are needed for that self-determination, the empowerment, and the greater equity that we're all striving towards. You talked about childcare, affordable childcare, pay equity, pay transparency, financial aid, work-study opportunities, paying for people to go to school so that they don't have to make a decision about putting food on the table or advancing their career for their family. We talked about opportunities in whether it's the trades or businesses. What are some additional big picture, go home, let's create equity across this county and across this country policies that you would like to see us fight for today? We'll start at the end.
All right.
Wait, I'm going to start this way. Yeah, so sorry. Switch it up. We'll go back down that way because we started with you last time. Or we started with you at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, just to make it crazy.
You really are making it crazy. Well, I think the big picture is about literacy. It is about literacy. And when I'm talking literacy, it's not about a master's, a graduate level program alone. It is about how do you create that in our public school system? We have to start from there. And how do you create opportunities, not just in your top 10 public schools or top 5 public schools, but starting from the bottom? What are the opportunities before and after school for students to have access to additional time with educators or to have additional mentoring times? What can you provide in our public school system? Just like you have early start, can you have a head start? Can you have that post-school and preschool? And then it's about the school nutrition program. It's about having access to nutrition, having access to education as a head start. And then it's about, again, it's about the financial aspect of education. How many families can really afford a college education? And if they're not going to college, then are there trade schools? And are we empowering those trade schools and those community colleges? So for me, it's really about starting at the bottom, starting early on, and then who are those vulnerable communities that you need to identify? Where is our Black community in all of this? Where's our Indigenous community? Where's our Latina community in all of this? And how can we, the more privileged who walked on the shoulders of our Black community for our own immigration, how can we step back? It's very easy to say we'll step back, but do we really step back? It's about affirming to that.
Love that. Love that. Thank you.
I think that was a mic drop. So I will say it's the 3 Ps from my perspective, right? Protecting women's access to healthcare, promoting greater education, including financial literacy as a must, and then providing assistance not only with childcare but with elder care as well. I think a lot of women in the workforce today are finding themselves in that sandwich generation where they're taking care of kids and they're taking care of their parents, and sometimes they're taking care of their grandkids as well. And so it's on both. It's person care. It's care all around, right? That spectrum of providing support for women in the workforce, because by and large, these responsibilities absolutely still fall to women at a huge majority. Healthcare is such a basic one, and we should all be very concerned about what's happening right now in women's healthcare. We all need to be standing up and fighting that fight, men and women and everybody, every single person out there. No matter what your identity is, like, this is a fundamental issue that we all need to be focused on. And then, I think that Lalita put the educational perspective into she made a fine point on that. Financial literacy, to me, again, in our space, in our industry, is extremely important. It's important to everybody. And there are 25 states today that have financial literacy as a high school graduation requirement. Only 50% of our country requires us to teach young people about the basics of what it's going to take for them to live, right? The other 50 states are getting nothing. Unless you have a family that has had the experience historically of having the benefit of understanding those financial tools, right? And those are not, by and large, low to middle income families and families that are BIPOC families. And so that is a huge, huge need. We actually had a bill, we don't have this today in Washington State. Financial literacy is not a high school requirement. There was a bill earlier this year during the legislative session that didn't, unfortunately, make it through. So I will just say all of you can help advocate for that in the next session, because they've laid the groundwork for it, and now we need to make it a reality. So those are the 3 for me.
Excellent. Advocacy.
Yeah, I want to continue. Access to healthcare is extremely important. I cannot believe that we're back in a spot where we have to discuss Roe v. Wade. It's unbelievable to me, and it's not acceptable. So we are in the fight in this all together. It really affects everyone. Access to education, 100%. I come from a country where education is free. It's not about how much money you have, but it's about what your dreams in education are and your capacity is. There's a system of, if you want to go into higher education, you can, but there's also a path provided for you to go into the trades. The trades have been extremely neglected here, and there is such a great need And there's an incredible earnings potential in the trades as well, but there's a stigma out there that for some reason we haven't been able to overcome yet, especially for women. Want to jump back to healthcare. When we talk healthcare, we also need to speak about all women. I want to get away from this women and trans women. Trans women are women, period. So it's all women, and that's just really, really important to capture. Supplementing childcare, I said that earlier, is also extremely important. But not just supplementing it financial, also providing actual childcare facilities that are truly high-quality facilities where parents can be confident they drop their children off in an environment that is supportive and promotes learning itself, so they can truly focus on the work, going to work, providing for their families, and not having to worry about their children or how they're being taken care of. Absolutely. So those are some of the legislative challenges. I want to pass back to you and other council members here in the room today to work on with our support, because we will stand right behind you with that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, I will just only add one word, universal. And I'll put that in front of universal, high-quality, accessible healthcare, childcare. You guys heard it here. You all heard it here. Nutrition services, education programs, after school, before school, literacy training, access to trade schools, union apprenticeship training opportunities, and making sure that we're looking across the age spectrum from our youngest kiddos from 0 to our elder care, and making sure long-term care is cared for. That is our challenge, and this is a directive that we take seriously. Thank you for identifying the public policy solutions, sharing your personal stories, and really showing us how you empower our local economy and community. Please give it up for our esteemed panelists. Thank you so much. I'll turn it back over to Claudia Balducci, council member.
Just one more round of applause for the panel and our amazing facilitator. What a great job. Thank you. It's fantastic. All right. I mentioned earlier that this event is a continuation of a tradition started and maintained for 8 years prior to today by former King Council member Jeannie Cole-Wells. And I am just so excited to be starting something new. We're going to add to this tradition today. We are so pleased. We are going to create and annually offer an award for women who uplift women, and in the name of former Councilmember Cole-Wells. It will be the Jeannie Cole-Wells Women Who Uplift Women Award. And I need to just say a few words about my former colleague. We were so pleased and honored that you could be here today so that we can acknowledge you. Jeannie has been just a stalwart and champion for women throughout a long and distinguished career, from her time as an educator to her public service at the state and county levels, and just being a mom of many children, 5 children. And it's just amazing to watch her tireless efforts to make life better for women throughout King County. I was honored to start on the King County Council at the same time as Councilmember Cole-Wells, and it was in our onboarding new council member training that we learned that the county charter and county code referred to us as councilmen. And so that was not going to stand for very long, and that was the first project we worked on together, was changing the charter, which requires going to the ballot. We had to get the voters to agree, and changing the entire county code so that it was gender inclusive. And I mean, she just takes on everything. That was after completing a similar exercise that was much harder and more controversial at the state. But Councilmember, in her time as Councilmember Cole-Wells, she was known as our own in-house badass feminist icon. That is a copyright, Councilmember Dave Upthegrove, but I think there's T-shirts even acknowledging this, because she led the charge on so many things to update and strengthen our code against gender discrimination and harassment, to raise awareness and resources to combat gender-based violence and human trafficking, taking up the cause of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and so much more in her time here. She was so impactful for women. She never missed an opportunity to educate us and the public on issues relating to women's equality and rights, earning another nickname, Professor Colwell's. And with all this excellent work, she always made time to mentor and support other women, young women coming up through our system, women in the community, her own colleagues. I know I personally learned so much from working with Jeannie, and that countless women have looked to her as an advisor and a friend and a role model. So for everything she has done and will continue to do, I'm proud to announce that we've created this new award. Just a word on the award itself, I fixed it. This is an original piece of art created by artist Etsuko Ichikawa, who is a Seattle-based artist who moved from Japan to attend the Pilchuck Glass School and work with Dale Chihuly. She co-founded Artists for Japan, an organization dedicated to earthquake relief, and she created this award for us. It's not 100% finished, but we will finish it and give it to Jeannie. But I would like to invite you to come down, and I'd like to invite our Women's Advisory Board Chair, Sarah Renevald, who is a strong woman leader and advocate in her own right, to present the award.
Thank you, Councilmember Balducci, and to the other council members. I am so pleased to be here today and so honored to be here today to present this award on behalf of the King County Women's Advisory Board to Councilmember Colwells, who is truly the county's own badass feminist icon. I'm here in my capacity as chair of the WAB today, but I started on the WAB in 2016. And I have to say the women of the WAB and throughout King County were so thrilled when Councilmember Colwells took her tenure, because she already had a reputation as a champion, a fierce champion for women throughout Washington State. And we knew you were going to be in our corner and be that fierce champion, because you always showed up for women, you listened to women, and you deliver on priorities for women throughout the state and King County. And first, as soon as you took office as a county council member, you showed up. You actually showed up to an early meeting of the WAB, which is not something I can say for all county council members, and took a keen interest in our issues from day one. And you listened to the women throughout King County and the women of the WAB to deliver on priorities that were so critically important. Everything from improving women's conditions in the workplace, to pay equity, to expanding access to childcare, to services for survivors of gender-based violence. You are a consistent champion. You were as a council member, and your leadership will have a ripple effect for generations. Lastly, you have always, as Councilmember Balducci was saying, shown up and lifted women up and made a seat at the table for women. This has been something that you have fostered throughout your career, and it's had a ripple effect in this room for so many women. For me, I first met Councilmember Colwells when I was an intern, when she was then State Senator Colwells. She lifted me up, and without that mentorship, I would probably not be here today before you. But I look across this room, and there are so many women that you have inspired and that you have lifted up, both here in this room in King County and throughout Washington State. So I am so honored on behalf of the WAB and our fellow council members here today to present this Women Uplifting Women Award to former Councilmember Jeannie Colwells. We cannot think of a more perfect recipient of this award than the person, the woman that founded and was the pioneer of this Women's History Month panel. Your leadership and legacy have brought us here today and will continue to inspire generations of women throughout King County and our state. So congratulations.
Would you like to say a few words? Sure.
Well, this is really weird for me, I have to say. I am so used to having been the one to organize, coordinate, all of that. And I can't tell you enough, my how thrilled I am to be at this function, let alone the lovely award, but just to see that this event is continuing. For 8 years, except for 2020, when the pandemic was called and the county shut down in a way, 2 weeks before we were having our program, right, Clara and Lorraine? About 2 weeks before, in March 2020. And then since then, we had it on Zoom, over Zoom. So it's so wonderful to have it occurring again and that it will be continued. I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. My heart feels so full. I was sitting there just gushing because I just feel so happy that this is being continued. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Teresa, the 3 women on the county, and hopefully in future years we'll have even more. And I just am thrilled to have this happen. For me, in retirement since January 1st has been a bit of a shock. As many of you who know me know that I'm not someone who sits still. And to all of a sudden, to have my career having ended and turning on King County TV or streaming it on occasion to see my colleagues and new members on the council, it's been weird. And I've loved it. I've loved, as people ask me, what's it like? I've loved that I don't have to set my alarm at night. I saw Shannon Braddock on Whidbey last weekend, and I think I said that to you, Shannon. I love that. But I miss all the, not just the action, but for me, the most meaningful thing for me throughout my career has been to effect social change. A sociologist, academic, researcher, writer. But it wasn't until I became a public policy maker in the state legislature, initially in the House and then in the Senate, and then coming here to the county council, that I really felt like I was engaging in what my calling has been, to effect social change, to make a difference. And my husband, Alex, over here, and I've got kids and grandchildren here too. The kids, Alex is always kidding me, say, "What will be on your tombstone?" And he has said, "She never had enough time." And it's true. I mean, I always feel like there's more to do. And listening to the wonderful, poignant, perceptive, impactful remarks from the wonderful panel today, I'm thinking, oh yeah, we should do that. I want to call up Clara and Lorena, formerly on my staff now with my successor, Councilmember Barone, staff. Can we get together? Let's plan this. We've got to write some legislation, and then I have to step back and say, no, I'm not going to do that. But I can be an advocate. And that's what I will be working on during my, quote, retirement. And I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but I'm sure I'll be making a lot of calls to you all.
You know where to find us.
I know where to find you. And Sarah, thank you so much for being part of this, too. This is a young woman who I got to know when she was very young, just remarkable. She's still young to me, but very young. And just a remarkable young woman who is going to be just going places. She's so talented, and I'm so happy that she's been part of this today, and we had her part of other ones in the past. Yeah. So with that, I just would like to say thank you, and there couldn't have been anything more that I would have liked better to then have some type of legacy. And that this, more so, that this will continue, this event, and that I'll be a small part of it. So thank you. Can we get a photo?
We're going to take a photo. All right. Bear with us 1 second. We just want to take a quick group photo. Probably should stand in front of this. In front of mine. Yes. Oh, okay. There, everybody.
I'm actually the one who does this.
Hold this next to you. Yeah. All right.
Well, this has been a remarkable time together. A huge thank you to everyone who attended, whether in person or online, to hear from our wonderful panelists and to be here in support of powerful women powering economies and each other. We appreciate your participation and the incredible response from our panelists today. I want to thank you to our panelists for being, for your dynamic, inspiring, and just engaging answers, responses, and the way that you, just created a space where we all could lean in. We all resonated. Your comments resonated, I think, with every one of us here. Your wisdom, your leadership matters as a voice for those who join you in the work of being powerful women, powering the economy, and for those who look to you for their own inspiration and are following your lead in where you're going and in your words. And I want to thank you very much for your gift of time with us today. Please join me in thanking. So finally, I want to thank my King County colleagues again and co-sponsors, Councilmember Balducci and Mosqueda and the King County Office of Equity and Social Justice, joining together to carry on this important work from the solid foundation laid for us by the esteemed Jeannie Cole-Wells. It's not a small piece of work to do this. It's just, it does look easy. She made it look like ballet, but I do want to thank all of the staff that participated to bring this about today. I'd like to close by saying it is an honor to serve in a county that holds the values that we do. King County is committed to empowering women in the workforce, as we've heard here today, and our women are some of the greatest leaders across our regional industries. We have the opportunity to advance public policies and legislation that ensures that women in our communities have access to living wage jobs, affordable housing, childcare, career opportunities, and so much more at all levels. Let's continue these conversations together throughout this year with powerful women in our lives, and let's reach out to engage and support other powerful women that we've not yet met. If you have any lingering thoughts that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you very much. Reach out. We want to continue this with you, with each of you as well. I want to thank you again, and I want to wish everyone a powerful Women's History Month and life. Oh, okay, so what we would love to do at this point is to have all of you up here for just a moment to get a picture together with our panelists, if you don't mind. That'd be great. Come on, right up to the table, everybody.